Planet Detroit was really started with this idea that, to be able to provide a salad on every table, especially in an environment like Detroit, where a lot of different areas can be economically challenged or food deserts, that really this is a place that could be revitalized by growing, healthy, affordable, accessible food that also just happens to taste delicious. I believe our work really shows that you can do things, you can have a business and a successful business that's also thoughtful and sustainable and like a steward for the greater good. And really this kind of comes together with our whole application, right, of being able to grow indoors in an urban environment and be able to provide healthy greens to people in this area, rather than having to have them be shipped across the country where there could be spoilage and degradation of quality before it actually ultimately gets to your table, if it ever does. And you can see, if you look down here, these first, we group them by type. So this first rack was just seeded yesterday. The second rack was seeded last week, and the third rack was seeded the week before, and that will be harvested on Friday for our 5 variety mix. The lights, just like our nutrient water has recipes, our lights have recipes. And these are all tuned to the different plants for what they like. These lights are red-blue lights, so we have blue wavelength, red wavelength, and far red. That kind of mimics the way that the sun will hit the plants during different times of the day. And we can get them to grow differently the way that we want to. We can tune those in, we can change them over time, so that we can really get the healthiest, most delicious, high quality plants we can get. Changing your lighting profile will change the profile of the leaf. It'll also change the flavor, which is super fun. When it comes to sustainability, to get to people to move towards action, really, you have to find ways to incentivize them. Find things that are going to be attractive. I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, but with, it can't just be enough to provide a high quality, healthy product if it doesn't also taste delicious. And so it's finding those ways of that, if this is more sustainable and it's better for you and it tastes better than what you would be getting otherwise, it starts to, it gives these positive reinforcements to get people more excited about those things and learn more about the story. And I think the other part is that really sustainability, there's 10,000 ways that you can find areas to be more sustainable. And if you're trying to do all of them at once, it can feel very overwhelming. And so finding these really tactical, precise ways that are easy to do and implement in your life, you can start to move more towards sustainability that's also going to be better for your own future. So these are all the micros that are being carried right now. You can see that there's a different lighting profile as well. So these like full spectrum lights, you can still see kind of like the reds and blues in there, but this is full spectrum. And in this, we can still change the recipe in the intensity of the light that they get and the amount of time that they get those lights. And again, we can tailor those to the different varieties, so we're able to maximize the growth and health of the plants. We get some broccoli. The micro broccoli is really delicious. It tastes just like broccoli, but it's like really packed. We do micro carrots, which it tastes just like a carrot, but it's just a little leaf. Circularity is a big part of the work that we do. And it's not just from the inputs into our process, right? So the water that we use, we recycle as many times as we can. So we're really just, drinking up a significant amount less than conventional farming. The water's not just going out into the ground full of different chemicals, but it's all being drunk up by those plants over time, using 90% less water than conventional farming. All the media that we bring in to grow the plants then gets composted, and so we're able to feed back into the communities, and so they're able to get healthy soil and things where that's a little bit more challenging in Detroit because of all the industrialization and some of the chemicals that are already existing in the ground, that we're able to provide that process and for other people to be able to grow healthy urban gardens. We've learned it's possible to build sustainably focused products in Metro Detroit, and that there's a business for it, and that there's a huge appetite for it as well. And that as we are developing new technologies and new businesses and new sales channels, that this is becoming more attractive and more people are talking about it. And because it's becoming more interesting and more attractive, it makes it easier for us to do business. It makes it easier for other sustainable companies to do business. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where we're able to lift each other up in a way that we are all able to just kind of take those steps to be a little bit more sustainable. And then that's better not only for our communities, especially in Metro Detroit, but for our, the broader impacts on the environment, that we're able to improve those areas. Right, the levels are as close together so we can maximize fitting as many plants as we can. The towers are also close together, so we can also maximize our footprint. But these are all on rolling racks, so we can fit as much as we can while still being able to access all the plants as they needed. And that not only gives us the benefit of being able to maximize our square footage, because obviously we're paying for the space, but also be able to capture efficiency. So the lights kind of spread out like this, and if they're closer together, then we're able to capture any sort of bleed over into the plants and be able to absorb as much as we can and use as much as we're using. So it's trying to minimize the waste on the energy side. So our weekly direct-to-customer business model, where we grow our leafy greens, and then we send them off and they get packed. And then every week on Wednesdays, we pack them individually for our subscribers and send them out, kind of around the greater Detroit area. And so these people who are looking for these kind of like healthy, delicious salads can now get them to their doorstep. You're not having to go to the grocery store. You're not picking through all these things and trying to find the right ones and compare price points. You're going to get a great product straight to your doorstep every day, or every week rather. And that distribution model, we work with some local third-party distribution companies to be able to do that, and that helps them. That's part of the gig economy, so it's providing more kind of local jobs for people to be able to do those as needed, as well as kind of helps us keep our costs more manageable, that we're not having to employ people full-time for something that really only happens once a week. But I think the three things I would tell people to kind of maximize their sustainability efforts is, one, start small. Find little actions that you can do, something that is manageable. This isn't boiling the ocean. It's finding very tangible things that are easy to do and easy to incorporate in your life, to start doing and making as a habit. Two, don't beat yourself up about all the different ways that you could be sustainable and you're not. It's about, it's a game of inches, and we're running kind of for the long haul, and being able to be patient with yourself and give yourself grace of understanding that you can't do everything all the time, but you can do a little bit, you can do your part, can be really valuable. And when you think about that in broad strokes of the millions of people that can do those small actionable changes, that can have a massive impact. And I think the third one is finding new ways to educate yourself, finding new ways to learn about, what you're putting in your body, what you're putting in your house, your daily practices. And the more you are intentional and aware of those practices, the more you might identify great opportunities and easy opportunities for you to kind of become more sustainable in your daily life.